Yeehaw! Science here, and this is Spirited Away by Hayao Miyazaki. Or is it?
Yes.
Now, as some of my fellow Canadians might know, Canadian Netflix is notoriously smelly. For $8 a month, it's pretty much the biggest scam since Cash for Gold. We don't have South Park, we don't have It's Always Sunny, we don't have Parks and Rec, and we don't even have Richard and Mortimer. So whenever you watch Netflix with people, you always end up watching the same rerun of The Office or some shit.
Don't fucking stare
Leave
at
my
me.
cat alone.
Don't fucking stare at me.
I mean, sure, you can always use a VPN to get onto UK Netflix, which for some reason has every show ever created, but then the VPN has to try to fucking bypass the Netflix prison guards, which it can only do successfully about a third of the time. The point is, Canadian Netflix has been an absolute fucking street lamp until now. Because the man, the myth, the legend, the god of anime himself, Hayao Miyazaki, has decided to bless us with the entire catalog of Ghibli movies, really just projectile vomiting them all onto Canadian Netflix at the same time. The only problem is, nobody seems to be watching them. I know you Americans like to paint us as these enlightened dimension-traveling utopians with universal health care, but while you guys think we're up here in our igloos finding the cure for cancer, we're actually just watching The Prom and, Virgin River. And the thing is, these movies should theoretically be some of the most accessible animated movies out there for a mainstream Western audience, considering the dub is so good that even the less literate among us could enjoy them with ease. I think the problem is a lot of these Ghibli movies are just as foul as the rest of Canadian Netflix. So, in an effort to stop my fellow countrymen from having shit taste, I'm gonna give you the scientifically proven top 3 Ghibli movies of all time. Alright, so taking the bronze is Spirited Away, ladies and gentlemen. And I already know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this one, because people love this movie more than the Mormons love Joseph Smith. Now don't get me wrong, it's a good movie and everything, I just don't think it's better than the other two on this list. It's basically about a little girl whose parents get swine flu, so she has to live as a slave in a bathhouse. Like most of Miyazaki's movies, it deals with themes of environmentalism and greed, specifically rebelling against the excess of Western-style capitalism and advocating for a return to a traditionalist Japanese lifestyle that is more in tune with nature. This one's really more of a light-hearted kids movie, kinda like Alice in Wonderland, and it's pretty clear who the bad guys are and who the good guys are, but still I think anyone would enjoy it. Next up is Porco Rosso, which literally translates to the Crimson Pig in Japanese. It's about a seaplane pilot who turned into a pig, and that's pretty much it. Are you noticing a pattern here? I don't know if old Miyazaki has some kind of twisted pig fetish or what, but all his best movies seem to feature anthropomorphic pigs, or be at least in some way pig related. I think that in a way the pigs personify capitalism, like when Chihiro's parents turn into pigs as a result of their own gluttony. But it also represents dehumanization, like when Porco Rosso's enswinement makes him question his own humanity. I don't know, that might explain all the pigs, but some people claim that Miyazaki was just the grandfather of the furry community and that Porco Rosso was the first ever fursona. The reason I like this particular movie so much is because the main character is just such a legitimate fucking badass. He kinda reminds me of like Indiana Jones, he's just so goddamn smooth. I mean, for a literal pig humanoid, he does pretty well with the ladies. I also like how it's set in the real world in like a real historical time period and there's just this pig man walking around and no one seems to give a fuck. It's shit like this that makes me believe that magic was around back before cameras and technology became popular, and it just kind of faded out over the last century like in Lord of the Rings. And speaking of pigs, if you easily get annoyed by pig jokes and pig puns, you should probably not watch this movie.
Don't be such a pig.
I mean, after watching BoJack Horseman, I think I've been a little desensitized to the whole animal joke thing, but it's still pretty fucking heavy-handed. But the main reason I love this movie is that it's just so fucking beautiful. I mean, before this I always thought that traveling and planes and going outside in general was just a waste of time, but god damn, this thing has legitimately given me a romantic view of the Adriatic Sea purely through animation, to the point that I've convinced myself that I want to retire there someday. I mean, just look at this. What the fuck? What the fuck? Remember how I said before that Spirited Away was this black and white story of good versus evil? Well, Princess Mononoke is the complete opposite of that. Nothing in this story is clear. It's about Ashitaka, the prince of some cult tribe who gets cursed by a boar god and has to go west to eliminate the evil that dwells there. You know, I was recently watching this travel show on Amazon called James May, Our Man in Japan, with the nerd guy from that British car show, and he said something very interesting, that the reason Japan is so obsessed with anime and manga and figurines is because of their religion. In Shintoism, basically anything can be a god or kami. Forests, rivers, lakes, the wind, fertility, people after they die, even the emperor himself is considered by some to be a living god. Anime and figurines were a natural successor to this, with anime characters taking on a modern reinterpretation of this symbological tradition. In Princess Mononoke, there's a god for everything. There's a wolf god, a boar god, a forest god, and these little guys, who kinda look like little figurines themselves. And you can essentially taste Miyazaki's love for his country and its traditions in every frame. It is a story about industrialism, about the new world order, and most prominently about whether man and nature can actually live in harmony. It is a battle of ideologies, individualism versus conformity, in which the duality of man is fully exposed. This is one of those very rare movies that has actually changed my perspective on the world. It's one of those defining pieces of media where I feel like my entire way of thinking is different because of it. It's a movie I recommend to everyone, be you man, woman, child, elderly, Coke, Pepsi, grower, shower, Ray, Asuka, human, or pig. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that I have proven here today, through the rigorous application of the scientific method, that the movie Spirited Away, that we all know and love, is actually a pig. And as always, stay classy, YouTube. I fucking knew it.